All right, Shalom, this is Brother Shamar from the Phoenix camp. With that being said, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakadash. Double honor to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work in truth and sincerity. I'm going to jump right into the scripture. This is Matthew 7:15. It says, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves." So this is Yahweh Shai warning his flock, warning the elect of false prophets. So there's going to be false prophets, people that claim to be in the name of Yahweh Shai, claim to know truth, coming in sheep's clothing, claiming to be one of the flock, but their intentions and their purposes and their doctrines are evil. And we have men like that today. You have started with Christianity. We all know those are nothing but false prophets. We all know those are nothing but ravening wolves. Brothers in the truth, they know the intentions of the so-called Christian teacher, Christian preacher. They're contrary, they're antichrist, they're contrary to the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. But there's also men among Israel which can be considered false prophets. Men that tell you to take the inoculation, men that tell you that there's no Jacob's trouble. And it's always funny how these men that spread these false doctrines, they always have an outward appearance, man, an outward appearance of righteousness. There's a scripture, I'm gonna get it. This is Matthew 23:27. It says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites." So there was righteous men among the scribes and the Pharisees, but he's speaking to those hypocrites among those certain groups. "For you are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward." So that's what they do, man. They have they have this image about them. They always have an image. They always have some type of trademark about them. Some type of clothing or some type of razzle dazzle, so to speak, about their whole presentation. It says, "For you are like unto whited sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and all uncleanness." Why? Because they're not alive with the spirit. They don't have the breath of life, which is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of these scriptures, man. Within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness. Why? Because they're contrary. Because they don't have the word. Because the word what makes you clean. They're contrary to law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Shem Shai. Verse 23. "Even so ye also outwardly appear righteous unto men," and they do their best to put on this persona, like the elder Gabar brought on a video one time, this cult personality, to be a righteous man, a moral man. "But with sin you are full of hypocrisy and iniquity." And that's exactly what they are, man. And that lawlessness. Why? Because they're contrary. They're contrary. They're against the law. They're against the law, statutes, and commandments. Well, I'm going to keep on saying it because that's exactly what it is. It says, "Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because ye build the tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, we have been the days of our father, we will not partake with them in the blood of our prophets." Well, yeah, they'll say that. But if Yahweh Shai was here once again on the earth, they most likely would be against them, and they most likely be hating. Why? Because they're against the doctrine of Yahweh Shai, which is taught by Great Millstone. So they most likely would be against Yahweh Shai and the prophets. They are against the prophets, because the prophets are here once again back on earth. With that, I'm going to continue on to 2 Peter 2:12. It's a real quick lesson here at the plantation. This is 2 Peter 2:12. And it says, "But these, as natural brute beasts, made to be taken, destroyed, speak evil of things that they understand not." So the elect are not going to be fooled by the false teachings. But as us, as men that know the truth, as men that have the correct doctrine, we have to point out these things, man. We have to point out these false ideas, these false teachings. For the younger brothers, those young men that really came into the truth, so they're not led astray. That's why every time there's a new so-called doctrine in Israel, And if it's contrary to the true doctrine, the brothers of great millstone, starting with the apostles on down, they're quick to jump up on it, man. It says, for these are natural beasts made to be taken, destroyed, speak evil of things that they understand not. Because they don't understand it. They have no understanding, when shall utterly perish in their own corruption, and shall receive the reward of unrighteousness. Because they got a foul spirit within them. And most of them are sellouts. They took that bag, they took that money, and it's just the gimmick of Christianity was an Israelite name tag on it, and they count pleasure to riot in the daytime, spots there are blemishes. It's like you see the word of righteous as they counted pleasure to riot in the daytime. Spots they are and blemishes, sporting themselves with their own deceivings while they feed with you, having eyes full of adultery that cannot cease from sin, begotten unstable souls, and heart they have exercised with covetous practices, cursed children, man. So we got to be aware of those fruits, man, which have forsaken the right way and gone astray from the way of Balaam, the son of Besor, who loved the wages of unrighteousness, man. So they following, so by default, they are following evil if they're not speaking this truth. Because that's exactly what it is. But going back to Matthew 17:7 and 16, get that. Matthew 7:16. It says, ye shall know them by their fruits. The men gather grapes or thorns or figs or thistles, so you know them by their fruits. So since you know that they're going contrary against the doctrine, they're telling you the mark of the beast is not the microchip. They're telling you Jacob's trouble is not, coming to us. They're telling you go ahead and take inoculations and vaccines. They're telling you all these things. You should know them by their fruits. The men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles. Even so, every good tree brings forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree brings forth evil fruit. Let's get that word evil. If there's a thing for it. Bad fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. So if you have the correct doctrine and you're sincere about it, there's no way that you can go against the Most High, against His word, if you have the right foundation to begin with. Because the Spirit won't let you. The Spirit will just cast you out first before it lets you bring forth any bad fruit in the name of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. And we've seen that happen to men. So that's a thing to consider. Scriptures say that you're supposed to follow men. You're supposed to be learned and taught by men. So sometimes they still say GMSs or men pleasers. Well, there's a difference between being a man pleaser and being someone that following order. And as we all know, the Most High is all about order. That's evident, man. There is order in the scriptures. There is order. If you go back to the ancient days in the Old Testament, the law, statutes, commandments. That was an order for the people to be in order. And there was many regulations and bylaws and moral codes set down for the conduct of our people. Why? Because the Most High is all about order. It's all about balance. So if you have a man that hasn't balance, then you got to be wary of that man. You can't be overly wise. You can't be overly stupid. You can't be overly righteous. You can't be overly wicked. You can't be too proud of yourself, too much in your own head. But you can't be overly humble, man. You got that, and that's other Gabar brought a video a long time ago. That's the secret to success in this truth is balance. Balance, man. That's something that you learn by growing in this truth. That also takes a certain discipline that you have to develop within yourself. But with that, I'm going to get John 1 and 10, just a real quick lesson here at the plantation. This is Shalak. John 1 and 10, it says, is that it? Shalak, hold on. This is Luke. I forgot what scripture I'm going to bring up. But anyways, This is Luke 6 and I'll start at verse what was that? Verse 45. Verse 43 says, for a good tree bringeth not forth corrupt fruit. Referring back to the same thing that was read in Matthew 7:16. For of thorns men do not gather figs, nor of bramble bush gather they grapes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good. So, what does that tell you, man? It all starts with a mindset and an intention and a will to do what is right, and that can be going back to integrity, ultimate integrity, having ultimate integrity in everything you do. Because every action has a reaction, man. What we do on a daily basis has an impact on the long run, man. So everything that we do, everything that we say, every action that we take, the habits that form our daily lives, those are going to decide if you bring forth good fruit or bad fruit. If you have a habit to be in too much folly, going back to the subject of the good fruit and the bad fruit, which also applies to yourself. It also applies to false teachers, but also applies to yourself, man. If you have the habit of being in too much folly or not reading, it's little things, man. It starts with little things. If you let yourself slip in discipline, for one day, that might turn into 2 days, and that might turn into a whole habit. And then what's going to happen then? You're not bringing forth good fruit anymore. And that's a scary thing, because the scripture said that the tree doesn't bring forth good fruit. It basically cast down, man. So that's a mindset that we got to have. It says, verse 45, a good man out of the good treasure of his heart, of his mind, good treasure. How do you build that treasure in your mind? How do you build that good treasure of your heart, of your mind? How do you do that? By constantly feeding yourself this word, by constantly making videos, by constantly being in this word. You're building up that good treasure of your mind. So that's that word, heart means mind. I always say that. Bring us forth that which is good. Why? Because his thoughts are always going to be on those right intentions, on those right things. An evil man of the evil treasure of his heart. So an evil man is given to folly, given to things that are contrary to the law, given to bullshit, given to his own self purpose. He's gonna bring in the long run, evil things. He's gonna bring forth evil fruit. For evil man of the evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For out of the abundance of the heart, out of the abundance of your mind, the mouth speaketh. Is what forms because they say your mind forms your thoughts form your speech, and your speech forms your actions. So that's what it is, man. So if you gotta constantly have a good mindset to bring forth good fruit. And that also goes into how you look at yourself on a daily basis, man. If you're always in that woe is me spirit, then that's gonna bring that woe is me fruit. If you're in that positive, enduring spirit, then that's gonna bring positive, enduring fruit. If you're in that studious mindset, that's gonna bring studious fruit. So the scriptures are laying down a principle. They're laying down a law, and the law is this: good tree brings forth good fruit. That's a law. That's a statute. That's a principle that the Most High set up. A good tree brings forth good fruit. An evil tree, evil fruit. So the Lord's giving us a basic understanding of a basic principle of how to conduct ourselves, man. So I'm going to get Galatians 6 and 7, and I'm going to end it on there. This is Galatians 6 and 7. It says, be not deceived. Yahweh is not mocked. For what a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So he's not mocked, man. You can't be doing all kinds of negative shit and thinking the Lord's gonna, still deal with you, or making all kinds of excuses and thinking the Lord's still gonna deal with you. It says, for whatsoever a man soweth, so you sow excuses, If you sow a bunch of bullshit, if you sow a bunch of I'll do it later type spirit, you cannot fool the Most High. You're not mocking the Most High. You ain't putting one over on him. But then you're gonna say, "Oh, the Lord's gonna have mercy on me." No, man. The Lord's a very austere man, and he's straight up. He has mercy, but he also don't tolerate no bullshit. It says, "For he that soweth to the flesh reap corruption. He that soweth to the Spirit, shall the Spirit reap life everlasting." So that's giving you a principle, man. The cause and effect principle. It's basically what's giving you. For every action and reaction. Those are scientific principles. The Lord's put them down right here. As we have, and let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap. So you're gonna reap good. You're gonna reap well. You're gonna reap mercy if you labor in well doing. For in due season we shall reap, we faint not. Because this is an endurance test. This is an endurance test, man. This is a race. This is a race that you gotta constantly putting forth effort in. It says, as we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially to them of the household of faith. So with that being said, man, yeah, that's a principle, that's a law. It's simple to understand, and since we know this, it's up to us to put that law, that principle into effect. The law of good fruit bringing forth a good tree, bringing forth good fruit. The law of reaping what you sow and sowing what you reap. These are principles that are easy to understand. And that's how you establish yourself in this faith, knowing these principles, knowing these laws, knowing that, okay, if I spend my week bullshitting, then I shouldn't expect, to be on fire. I shouldn't expect you to get a proper understanding. But if you spend your week, with that proper balance of study, the proper balance of prayer, proper balance of doing videos, watching videos, and being diligent in the Lord's business, then you should expect, good fruit in return. That's what it is, the cause and effect. With that being said, just a real quick lesson. Most High will and hope was edifying. Instead, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Shemi Shai. Call halal Yahweh Shemi Shai. Let's keep on pushing. Shalom.